Folks, so I wanted to put out a quick video just to kind of do some housekeeping, give some updates on kind of what's going on around this channel. First of all, I appreciate all of you who support this channel and subscribe. It certainly means a lot to me. I didn't really know what this channel was going to be when I started it a few years ago. It was kind of just a, hobby. I love disc golf and I do content creation in the esports world, and I tried to merge the content creation disc golf things together and made this channel and kind of use it to also propel me into doing work with the Disc Golf Pro Tour as both a commentator for post-produced commentary for Gatekeeper Media, as well as doing live stuff on the Disc Golf Network, working on different shows, hosting most recently when I was hosting Tournament Central before, the plans kind of changed with that whole thing. And yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride, but I did want to give some kind of updates on things that are going on with me as far as disc golf goes and as far as the channel goes, because I know there's been kind of a lack of activity and content on the channel. And I'm fully aware of that. And I know that for those of you who are loyal subscribers and look forward to consistent content, I'm sure, some of you out there might be a little bummed that maybe you're not seeing as much content as you used to, as I tried to kind of post at least one video a week as regularly as I could. That was kind of the goal. And there's been several different times where there's been like a month or two with no content. And then eventually I crank out a couple of videos. Most recently I did a couple of practice round videos with one of our local, like really young up and coming players at Loxley for a tournament that we had played here recently. But to kind of give you the long and short of why the content has been a little bit lacking lately, I guess you could say, is that I've just had a bunch of different things kind of happen all at once these last few months that have made doing content difficult. I've barely even played disc golf, honestly, lately, let alone actually set aside time to record. And the few times I did play, it was just kind of casual rounds with friends, and I don't always like to inject recording into those situations. Sometimes it's just about having a friendly game of golf with some buddies and not having the pressure of there being a camera on or whatever the case. You know what I mean? I'm sure. So to kind of run through some of the things, first off, I've had some like big changes in my professional life. Some of that you folks kind of already know about because of the whole budget cuts and layoffs that took place at this Golf Pro Tour, which kind of cut out a couple of gigs I was going to be doing for them on DGN. I've also had some esports stuff, as that was kind of my main bread and butter, form of income. That has also had some pitfalls here and there. Luckily, it seems like I might be on the upswing on the esports front, and I should be having some gigs kind of taking place later this year, and there are some prospects for 2025 as well that I'm hoping will go my way. And if they do, then, I'll be in a better position. But for right now, things have been very stressful on the work front, and I've really put a lot of effort into trying to find ways to hustle and get out there and do stuff and, kind of sort that stuff out. On top of that, there's also been some family stuff that's happened. One of those things was my father had to have hip replacement surgery, and I've had to help him out a lot, throughout that process. Both before when he was struggling, before he could get the surgery, then once he got it, the recovery process. Everything's fine, by the way. Like, he's not in any type of like critical, situation or something like that. But, it just took up time, family comes first, that sort of thing. Right. And there's been other family things I've had to deal with as well on top of that one. That's just kind of one example. And another real issue lately has been that weather has just not really been cooperating. It has been incredibly hot, where I live. So, for those of you who live in the southern United States, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it has been really, really hot. Usually it's been, in the 90-degree range Fahrenheit to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which for those of you who do Celsius, that is like roughly 35 degrees Celsius. But we had this thing called heat index in the United States, and I'm sure you have it too, wherever you are, where it kind of takes into account the actual literal temperature and then like humidity, and then kind of puts those together and gives you something called heat index, which is what it feels like outside. And it has been between 105 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit on the heat index scale, which, just to kind of give you a rough estimate, 100 degrees Fahrenheit is 37. So the 105 would be 40 degrees Celsius, and then 110 is about 43 degrees Celsius. So it has been incredibly hot pretty much every day, all day, every day. And it's just made like playing rounds and filming content really tough. Get tired easy. you're sweating. It's just rough conditions to play out in. Super hot. Definitely got to stay hydrated, and that's definitely impacted the amount of times I've played as well. Some days it's just too hot. Like it's just not worth it. But yeah, so that is kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of why content's been a little bit sporadic and irregular. I like to try to get back to doing more content, but I'm also trying to figure out like what type of content do I want to do with this channel. And this has led to a lot of self-reflection, but I kind of want to get your folks' take out there, people out there in the community. I'd love your suggestions. I'd love your feedback on this. It's pretty easy for me to do videos where I'm showing off new courses, or I'm doing practice rounds for an upcoming tournament, or I'm doing like a disc review. Those are pretty easy pieces of content to kind of come up with and put together and publish. But I do wonder, at what point do people really care about seeing a mediocre player play disc golf? You know what I mean? Like, I'm now 34 years old. My birthday was just a couple days ago. And, I'm 34. I'm sub 900 rated. Hopefully I'll break the 900 rating soon. That's kind of one of the goals. And it's just like, do people really want to see that level of disc golf? I don't know. I guess if you make it entertaining enough, then, people kind of look past the level of play. But I do think the level of play that takes place, people do care about. And so I do wonder about that a little bit. And one of the other things I've done a lot on the channel is tournament content, where I've actually filmed my tournament rounds and I've kind of commentated over them and kind of talked you through my processes and things of that nature. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep doing that going forward. And there's really a couple different reasons for that. One is that while 95% of the time people who I'm playing with don't care and are totally fine with me filming content, I can tell sometimes people either directly kind of let me know that they're feeling uncomfortable, or I can just kind of tell that they're uncomfortable. And I never want to jeopardize, someone's tournament playing experience or cause friction on a card by having a camera around if people just aren't into that. Granted, I'm only filming myself and my throws. I'm not filming anybody else. And so, I try to be respectful in that regard. But even still, I think some people sometimes get a little bit uncomfortable when there's a camera around for various reasons. And I never want to cause that problem. You know what I mean? So if that ever becomes a problem, then that will simply end it right then and there, because I'm not going to put people in that position. But the other thing is just like, with my tournament play, I've always tried to be very transparent and show you the good and the bad. But some tournaments, it's just all bad. Like this last tournament I just played, it was like the most boring video you would have ever watched of me playing disc golf. I'm talking, I shot even par across 36 holes. Total for the tournament, I had 4 birdies and 4 bogeys. The rest were pars. And pretty much every single par was exactly what you would think. A mediocre to decent drive, a pitch up, a tap in par. Like, that was pretty much the entire round. There was really nothing highlight worthy about it at all. It was pretty much all average or negative. My putting game was terrible. I think I had like 9 looks at birdie during the first round of the tournament. And of those 9, I only connected on 2. And of the 7, I think 4 or 5 of them were 25 to 20 foot putts for birdie that I missed. And then the other 2 were like circle 2 putts that I missed for birdie. So had a chance to shoot like a 7 under par, but couldn't even get half of that, which would have been like the more reasonable look, like 3 or 4 under, shot even. Then the second round was pretty much the same story. I played at the Loxley course that I filmed the practice round video at. And so I just wonder, like, do people even really want to see that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, on the one hand, yeah, I think it's kind of cool because it's relatable and you're getting, hear the insights of like an average player. But at the same time, I just wonder if people are really actually entertained by tournament content of someone playing poorly. You know what I mean? And I also feel like the camera does kind of put the pressure on, because I know that I'm creating content with it and I want to do a good job so that I can put out good content. And it almost kind of adds like an extra little bit of pressure to perform well, because I know that it's being filmed. I know that you're going to see it. And it's like, I really want to not necessarily impress you, but just make sure that I'm playing like at least somewhat decent golf, to where the video is not a complete disaster of just me hucking in the trees every single hole, missing every single putt, getting frustrated. Like, I just don't know if that's really the type of content that you folks would actually really want to see, honestly. So I leave it up to you in the comments down below. Do you care about the quality of tournament play in the content? Does that bother you or not? Like, is it boring to watch a tournament where someone just plays god-awful? Is it boring just watching an average player play tournaments? Wouldn't you much rather watch a higher-level player play tournaments? I'm not really sure, like, I'm just kind of curious your take on that. But again, it does all come down to the fact that if I'm making other people uncomfortable, then it may just be a situation where I just have to cut it because of that. And then in which case I'll still put out casual round, footage all the time. I'll still put out practice round footage. I'll still put out footage of covering new courses. But I think it does still boil down to the fact of needing to diversify the content to more than just playing, because at a certain point with my age, like there is just going to come a time where it's like, do people really want to watch a near 40-year-old person playing disc golf? Like, wouldn't they much rather watch young and up and coming talent or professional players or touring pros or, like I just don't really know what the market is there. Some people have found niches in doing like instructional content and like giving lessons, which I do not feel at all, capable of doing. I feel like I do not have the credibility or the skills. Like, how am I going to make you better? I'm struggling. You know what I mean? So I don't know that tutorial content's ever really going to be in my wheelhouse, but maybe there's something I can share. I don't know. Again, disc reviews are always pretty fun, showing off new stuff and kind of just my take on things as an amateur point of view, since a lot of people who are going to be buying these products are amateurs, and so therefore they want to know how it kind of flies for an amateur arm speed. So I think there is kind of a market there. When I was doing like the pro disc reviews, I think that was really cool stuff. But I'm just trying to think of like what other content I could do. Could I do news content, covering the news of the scene? Could I do, some type of podcast? Like there's already so many outlets, I feel like, for disc golf podcasts and disc golf like news shows and things of that nature, that I'm not really sure there's a market for that. If people be interested in me doing that kind of thing, I don't know. That's something else I could think about as well. But either way, what I wanted to kind of do with this video is just kind of update people on what's been going on while there has been a lot of content. Kind of let you know what my plans are for content going forward, as well as just try to get your takes on what type of content you like. Because I'm kind of, I don't know, like maybe I'm overthinking things, but I'm doing a lot of self-reflection. I'm just trying to figure out like what do I really want to do with this channel going forward long term. Like, can I really keep doing what I'm doing and keep the channel growing that way by just playing average golf and recording it and showing you those rounds? Or do I need to be diversifying the content more? Again, I do feel like there's going to come a day where I'm not going to be able to film tournament rounds anymore because of either other people being uncomfortable, or maybe I just really want to focus on playing my best and not having to worry about the pressure of filming content. I don't know, but I did want to get your takes on all that. So do you like the tournament stuff? Do you not? What are your thoughts on just watching casual and practice rounds from an average player, or maybe even slightly below average? I don't really know what the average is, honestly. But yeah, just kind of let me know like what your thoughts are on the content so far on this channel and what you'd like to see going forward. Maybe what I can tell you for sure is I do have one more tournament coming up that I will definitely record and put out. I'll commit to that, just because it was already planned, so I will do that. So at least one more tournament round, or 2 tournament rounds of content will be coming out here very soon. It might be my last tournament of the year because I really want to focus on getting better, and I feel like the only way I'm going to be able to get better is by not competing and really focusing on form, focusing on putting in reps, and also just focusing on getting in better shape to help with my mobility and flexibility and my athleticism, and just being in better shape in general is going to be great. It's going to give me more stamina. I'm going to feel better. Maybe it'll have things that help me, move and play better. I don't know. I just need to get in better shape in general, like just for my health. So really, after this tournament that I have coming up, I'm not sure if I'm going to play any more tournaments this year, and I may just, again, focus a lot on getting in better shape, trying to work on my form, trying to learn how to throw better and further. Right now I'm capping out at like 340 feet of distance. I feel like I used to be able to throw like 370, 380. I can't even touch that anymore, so I'd like to get back to that. Maybe even try to finally break that 400 threshold, which has been a goal of mine in the past. Work towards breaking that 900 rating. Work towards being a consistently competitive MA2 player and eventually move up to MA1. And then who knows from there, and I feel like I need to eventually just kind of step away from competing in order to focus on getting better if I'm actually going to get better, or it's going to just turn into a situation where I'm just going to play casually and kind of stay at this plateau I've been at for the last year. But I'm a competitive person. I don't want to stay on a plateau. I want to get better, or at least try, if I put in a ton of effort and I still wind up not breaking through that plateau, then hey, it is what it is. And maybe I'll just kind of let loose and really just have more fun with it. But yeah, I don't know. Just kind of curious your takes, and just want to give you some updates and be on the lookout for more content coming soon. And again, shout out to Infinite Disc and their sponsorship. That's been awesome. I never thought I'd be sponsored, so it's kind of cool to have a partnership with someone who's been really cool and really helpful. And yeah, be on the lookout for more stuff soon. And I really just want to kind of get your feedback, though. So thanks so much.